Good morning, everyone. For teleSUR, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. Thank you for joining us today. I'm from the South. Our top story this morning takes us here to Venezuela. That's where President Nicolás Maduro has announced that a diplomatic roadmap to resolve the Essequibo territorial dispute with neighboring Guyana will be outlined in November. Now, his announcement came after the arrival of a UN commission to evaluate the situation and design a new path to peaceful solution. A second round of talks on the Essequibo region will be held next month. Maduro took the opportunity to explain the details of Venezuela's claim to the disputed territory to the UN delegation.
I see tangible results, and little by little, we have achieved to dissipate the threats and risks, which are numerous and dangerous. We denounced a few of we knew of the other issues, and we dealt with them as they continue the consolidation of a region, and Venezuela has gone around the world with the truth.
Bolivia's President Evo Morales criticized Chile for a lack of arguments in its resistance to allowing Bolivia access to the sea. Now, in September, the International Court of Justice ruled it did have jurisdiction to hear landlocked Bolivia's case. Morales says that under impositions and threats in 1874 and 1904, Bolivia was stripped of its access to the Pacific Ocean. The Bolivian president says Chile has hurt its reputation by attempting to blackmail Peru and Paraguay into supporting Chile in the dispute. He said Chile also attempted to threaten Venezuela, Ecuador, and Cuba to turn their backs on Bolivia.
I'm convinced this is not a problem of the people of Chile or Bolivia, but one of the oligarchies, the English transnationals, who due to economic reasons have invaded us. They will say there was no invasion and we solved this with a treaty. But why don't they review the 1866 treaty, which recognizes access to the sea?
A massive manhunt is underway in Mexico's northern states of Sinaloa and Durango. Military forces are searching for the world's most powerful drug lord, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, in a mountainous region that is said to be the drug kingpin's stronghold. Now, sources have told teleSUR that since his escape on July 11th, El Chapo was in that mountainous region he controls and where he enjoys the protection of federal and state security forces and officials. The news comes as a Mexican senator accused the federal government of lying to cover up the real facts behind Guzman's jailbreak.
It shows that all of the investigation up to now has been built on fiction, that all of the information which has gone public and given to the bicameral commission does not correspond to reality.
And now we're going to take a brief glance at some of the other stories making the news around the world.
A group of young activists from Maryland occupied Baltimore City Hall, demanding to speak with local officials. Baltimore bloc activist Trey Murphy said that after numerous failed attempts to hold conversation with City Hall officials, they decided to occupy the facilities. The bloc has a list of 19 demands, including stricter rules of engagement for police and that the city allocate $20 million toward education. Police ultimately entered calmly and arrested the activists.
We're out here trying to demand greater accountability and transparency in the Baltimore Police Department and the city government as a whole. Frankly, we're tired and fed up with trying to figure out how to have conversations with people who clearly don't respect us and don't care about us.
The British government has denied safe passage for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who is suffering profound pain in his right shoulder. Assange has been told by doctors he urgently needs to have an MRI scan to determine the causes of his 3-month-old condition. The UK suggested the activist will be detained as soon as he left the embassy in London. They also threatened to reconsider future cooperation with Ecuador. Ecuadorian Foreign Minister Ricardo Patiño condemned London for what he said amounts to a violation of human rights.
We also understand the reasons they might have as a government. But of course, even in times of war, in other types of conflicts, for humanitarian reasons, safe passage is granted, We, in this case, have requested Mr. Assange be able to undergo this medical exam. However, the answer is always the same. When he leaves, we will take him prisoner because we have to follow this European detention order.
As the Syrian government forces further their advances with the aerial support of Russia on territories controlled by the Islamic State, the U.S. has rejected talks to discuss a political settlement in the Arab country. Russian President Vladimir Putin criticized Washington's rejection to the dialogue and described it as weakness on part of the United States due to a lack of clear objectives. Since Russia began airstrikes in Syria, dozens of vital Islamic State targets have been destroyed, diminishing the power of the militant group.
Особое внимание уделили взаимодействию в таких значимых спектру торгово-экономических отношений. Наши американские партнеры.
I don't quite understand how our American partners could criticize Russia's actions to fight terrorism in Syria when they reject direct dialogue on a major issue of political settlement. I believe this position to be unconstructive.
Catalonia leader Artur Mas went before a judge just hours ago. He's charged with breaking the law by staging a vote on independence from Spain. As he entered the court, thousands of supporters demonstrated outside the building. Mas supporters have branded the case against the Catalonian leader as politically motivated. They accused Spanish authorities of going after him to disrupt his drive from the northeastern region to secede. In November, over 80% of Catalonian voters say yes to independence.
And we end our newscast this morning with some never-before-seen images of Jupiter. NASA has created a new highly detailed animation of Jupiter after using the Hubble Space Telescope to study the planet's intricate characteristics. The space agency has been using the telescope to study the planet's winds, clouds, storms, and atmospheric chemistry. The imagery shows the variety of colors and shapes there on Jupiter. So we're covering this morning at teleSUR English. Thanks for joining us. We have plenty more on all of those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For teleSUR English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.